Hey guys, it's Miss Durham. I am back for another enrichment activity. And with this enrichment activity, you are going to be learning about bar graphs. Like I had said in my other video regarding picture graphs, pictographs, we're going to be talking about bar graphs. Now, why are there picture graphs and why are there bar graphs? Well, bar graphs are really used when you have a lot more information that you are collecting, right? So the numbers are higher, the votes are higher, whatever information you're collecting, there's a lot more of them, and that's why bar graphs are really important. And bar graphs are probably something you might be more familiar with because you might see them around school or around the walls at school or any kind of thing where they're measuring information that they're collecting and seeing, comparing. So we're doing the same thing as we did with our picture graph. The information is actually collected, or data, remember that word, vocabulary word, that we're collecting all at once. We're collecting them so we can view them all at once. We can see the bigger picture of things and compare it. So let's take a look at this awesome bar graph that I have right here. First things first, as we did in our other video on pictographs, we said, okay, what's the title of this, this graph? Well, we see a lot of different things about this graph, but the title of this graph is called Pet Survey. So in this particular graph, some information was collected on what type of pets people have. And there's some different things look a little bit different as before. Our pictures are, there's not a whole bunch of pictures anymore. We have bars. They're like little rectangles. Some are small and some are really tall. But we can still see that down at the bottom, as we did before, we call this the horizontal line down here at the bottom of the bar graph. We see that information was collected and votes were turned in. And people turned in votes based upon what kind of pets. So James did a survey on what pets his neighbors have. And some people said cats. Some people said dogs. Some people said birds, fish, rabbits, and hamsters. So these are all the pets that different people have in his neighborhood. Over here, the vertical line, this is a vertical line up and down. We can see a small word over here that says votes. So instead of being a picture as our pictograph before, as we can see in this one, we see that one picture represents one animal, right? Well, in this case, it's not one bar represents one cat or one bar represents one dog. The votes of what people have are over here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 votes are measured over here. So let's take a look at this and read this. So if we were to answer this question right over here, how many people said they have birds, said they have a bird? Well, what we would do with that is we would still go to the bottom, find the bird, oh, there it is, and then we would say, okay, here's our column, nice and neat. And we're looking to see where our little rectangle right here ends, right? So it looks like it's right here. Well, if I were to follow this bar graph all the way over here to the left side, I would see that it says that there were 3 votes. 3 votes. So it looks like 3 people voted that they have birds. Let's do one more together. I'm gonna write that down though. How many people said they have a dog? Okay, so you do the same thing. You look at the bottom of your graph. We see where the dogs are. Then we follow our bar all the way up until it stops right here. And then we follow that line all the way over here. And it says there are how many? That's right, 7. 7 people, 7 votes have dogs. All right, so what I want you to do on this one is I want you to tell me how many, let's move this up a little bit so we can write some more. How many people said they have a fish? How many people said they have a fish? Okay, I hope you were able to find that. You've looked at the bottom. We always, when we're looking to see what was collected or what information was collected, it's going to be right here on this horizontal line, or it's going to be on this vertical line. That's just going to be the amount of votes for each animal. So you went over here and you saw that, okay, it looks like the pet survey. Some people had some fish because I can see the bar goes all the way up here. And when I follow the end of that bar, the top of the bar, where does it stop? And follow it all the way over to the left-hand side, it stops at a number and it says that there were 4 votes. I really don't want to go over too much information with this because I feel like it's a lot of the same thing that we can see a bigger picture of things, especially with our pictograph that we did earlier. But our bar graph, as you can see, there's a lot more. It would take a lot of work if you wanted to. You could actually count the number of votes total, but that would be something that's a little bit more advanced, and maybe we'll work on that next time. But I want you to think about these 2 key vocabulary words that we used for the first pictograph, which was least and most. So with that said, which animal got the least amount of votes? How can I figure that out? How can I figure out which animal got the least amount of votes? The least meaning the fewest amount. The least amount, which means the fewest amount, without counting what each animal, which each person voted for. How can I figure that out? I hope that you used your knowledge from our previous thing that we did with our picture graph, but you can actually see, based upon looking at the bigger picture of things, that it looks like this little hamster over here, oh, he's cute, only received a little bit amount of votes. And I can tell because the bar graph is so much smaller than the rest of these, right? There's no other bar graphs that's smaller than this one. And if I follow the end of the top of my bar graph right here a little bit, if I follow that all the way over, I can tell he only got 1 vote. But he looks really cute, and I would have a hamster. But he had the fewest amount of votes. So the hamster, which animal? So that little hamster. Oh, hamster. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about which animal. I keep needing more space. I'm going to have to move this up a little bit again. Which animal got the most amount of votes? Which animal got the most amount of votes? I'll give you a few seconds to work on that. Okay, so back at it. I hope you used your prior knowledge of what we learned with our pictograph, that all we have to do is look at the bigger picture of things. That's right. So we're going to look at this as a whole. And I can determine which animal got the most votes based upon which bar is the highest, right? Not the lowest, but the highest. So this bar over here looks pretty tall. But what about this bar over here? I don't see any other animals that reached up to that bar. So that tells me, without counting the number of votes, that the rabbit got the most amount of votes. And it looks like if I follow that top of that bar, it looks like that rabbit's got 9 votes. So that means 9 people, if there's 9 votes, that means 9 people have rabbits. So if I were to look again, let's say over here at cats, and I measured that to see where it stops, looks like it's at 5 votes. That tells me 5 people have cats, which is really surprising. You would think that, cats and dogs would have the most votes, but rabbits are great too, because it's Easter. Maybe that's why. All right, guys, that's all I have in the bar graphs. You need to look in your enrichment activity packet. There is a worksheet on this. I hope that you take this information and apply it. So make your own bar graph, reach out and watch things on YouTube. There's all kinds of great worksheets out there. If you have any questions, your homeroom teacher, your first grade teacher should know what to do. And as always, there's more activities that we can put together if you're interested in this. So we hope you stay safe and healthy. We love you, Klondike Bears. Go Cards!